Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Il nous reste la parole au président du Merci Léon, merci Rachel. Je voudrais souhaiter le trophée européen. Vous allez voir le spectacle, c'est fantastique, un spectacle. Toute l'infrastructure, style, 40e concours du front, un trophée européen, c'est exceptionnel pour notre anniversaire. Merci à Style, merci à Chantal, à Jean-Noël, monsieur le joueur. 3 jours, vous êtes venus très très nombreux. Merci, je pense à tous ceux qui ont quitté et qui ont lancé le concours. Je pense à Paul, à Armand, et je pense à Martin Komarek, également notre champion tchèque qui est décédé il y a quelques mois malheureusement, ainsi que notre champion allemand Guillaume. À vous, tous ceux qui sont là-haut, c'est grâce à vous que nous avons réussi ce week-end. Merci à vous Léon, à vous Rachel.
Merci Jean-Michel, merci à toi le président dynamique qui est toujours présent, qui nous soutient tout au long de l'année dans toutes nos activités du cercle. Nicolas, 100 ans, c'est pas rien. On va fêter ces 100 ans avec vous toute l'année. On a déjà commencé, on a déjà bien commencé. On a encore pas mal de manifestations à nos côtés. Suivez-nous, likez cette page du cercle Saint-Nicolas et surtout, là, ce fameux concert, c'est ça les 11 fin août.
Le 27 juillet, le 27 août, pardon, décidément, j'ai du mal ce week-end, le 27 août, 100e anniversaire du STIHL TIMBERSPORTS du cercle Saint-Nicolas, concert ACDC du groupe Baroque. Ça va être un concert tout simplement exceptionnel, ils attirent plus de 3000 personnes tous les ans chez nous à Saint-Denis. On a la chance de les avoir cette année. Le 27 août, les billets sont en vente sur le parking, n'hésitez pas à en prendre. Mais également, lors de ce 100e anniversaire, la fête commencera dès le vendredi soir avec une soirée animée par DJ Corman. Et évidemment, dimanche, une journée avec 100% des groupes chiranois tout au long de la journée, un week-end qui s'annonce rempli et extrêmement festif.
Allez, vous n'oubliez pas, on est en direct, les films partout, le lien est sur nos pages Facebook, partagez-le, n'hésitez pas à partager tout ça et après on verra pour la première fois Chiraille sur la chaîne L'équipe, le temps quelques semaines à nos équipes de prod de faire le montage. C'est pour ça aussi qu'on a besoin cet après-midi que vous fassiez un maximum de bruit et que vous puissiez montrer sur cette chaîne d'équipe que Chiraille, c'est comme ça. Alors c'est vrai qu'hier, ils étaient déchaînés dans le public. Aujourd'hui, vous avez un peu plus chaud, c'est un peu plus dur, mais on compte quand même sur vous.
Et vous savez qu'à Chiraille, dès le mois de juin, on commence avec les fêtes et on ne s'arrête plus. L'année dernière, les pompiers nous ont offert un exceptionnel feu de la Saint-Jean dans la semaine, non, 2 semaines, le 23 juillet à Chiraille, l'open air, chaque open air organisé par le FC Étoile, également les billets en vente sous le chapiteau de ACDC. N'hésitez pas.
We are Timber Sports.
United by passion for the sport
and competition.
We chop down racism
and say yes to tolerance.
Yes to tolerance.
Say ja till tolerans.
Yes to tolerance.
Yes to tolerance.
是的，理解宽容。
Powiedz tak tolerancji.
Ja zu tolerancji.
We are Timber Sports.
Hello everybody and welcome to the European Trophy 2022 here live in Michałem, France. We hope you guys enjoyed any action that you watched previously this weekend. Forget it all for the moment because now comes one of the most exciting formats you are ever going to see in STIHL TIMBERSPORTS. And I am lucky to have alongside me today for the event Jolanda Gnedinger as our expert. Thank you for joining us, Jolanda.
Hello everyone.
So today you are going to see the axe and saw busy, busy, busy. Let's check it out.
Yes,
Jolanda had second place in the women's competition. Run us through this a little bit here because you had some pretty good runs here.
That's right. I was really surprised with how it went. The wood was hard but good. We had a tough field. So it was great to see 10 ladies out there and all of us pretty much at the same level.
And now here you are in your underhand chop. We've been seeing the difficulty of the underhand chop for everybody this weekend and not just the women. It was a good run for you here, a little bit longer than normal, but you did well to come in second place overall.
That's right. I heard the public, the people out there scream, and I was like, oh, I'm getting close. I got to give it all.
All right.
And the best part.
All right, so Jolanda Gnedinger, absolutely with a pedigree here, deserving to be in studio with us today. And we're going to be really excited once this action starts. We have 16 athletes. We're going to be competing head-to-head, and this time it is a knockout system. So we are going to be losing athletes as we go along immediately. But before that, we're going to be meeting the athletes. Let's head over to the main stage and check out who's going to be competing. And as you see on stage on the far right-hand side, there you see Director of Sports, Global Sports Director rather, Spike Milton, having a quick chat with Andy Hall, our competition judge, and of course Bart Jansen is on there as well as our head judge. And coming onto the stage now, Michał Dubicki. He is an axe machine. That's an appropriate name for his contact there. Unbelievable. One of the guys that's going to be a favorite coming out there now is Marcel Steinkemper, just qualifying by the hair on his chinny chin chin for this event here. It's his first time doing this format, the trophy format, and I talked to him earlier and he was like, I was gutted after the qualification round, so unbelievable. There we see Jacek Groenwald from the Czech Republic, or from Austria, or Poland, excuse me. It's one of the Groenwald clan, there's so many of them. And next up from the Czech Republic is going to be Martin Kalina. There we see. There he is, Martin Kalina. One of the granddaddy caddies coming out next. One of the guys who's been around the sport forever and ever and ever. Kern Martens, one of our favorites. He's such a nice guy, so relaxed, so chilled, but always in the mix. Then coming out on stage now, Matthias Klima, one of the young guns. He just came out of the rookie academy and he's looking very, very good. Strong kid, so this will be his first go at a trophy format as well.
That's right.
Speaking of another athlete that's come through the rookie academy with stars and bells, Oliver Reinhardt from Switzerland coming up onto stage now. He is what you might call the quintessential timber sports athlete. He's the guy that is developing very quickly into the pro ranks, and we're going to see him compete now for the second time third appearance now for a trophy. So yeah, he's got a little bit of a pedigree underneath him. And from winning the second place yesterday here at the French Nationals, Guillaume Moore will be on stage today as well. He'll be competing in heat number 4 against Oliver Reinhardt, who just came up on stage. And next up, coming on stage, one of the great hopes for Swedish timber sports is Emil Hansson. He has shown a lot of gumption and skill at his young age. And he too coming through the rookie ranks. Third appearance, now 3 appearances, so 4th appearance for him and Oliver Reinhardt. I should probably clarify that. This will be 4. After him, we'll see Günther Dahlinger from Austria. One of those guys that also managed to sneak in here along with Marcel Steinkemper through the qualification round. We wanted to have a secure 16 athletes for our 8 heats in this round of 16. Coming out after Günther, one of the favorites for this event, who's always a man you have to be very careful of if you're competing against him in a head-to-head, Ferry Svan from Sweden. And in his short time as a pro, he's amassed some serious, serious hardware. So he's a guy to keep a close eye on, definitely.
Small, compact, and a powerhouse.
Absolutely, and has the endurance and stamina to boot. Coming out next is Danny Martin. He just won the Ford Cup in Germany. So he is the next level for German competitors. They're placing a lot of pressure on his shoulders to be the guy to really put Germany on the map in the coming years for timber sports. And then, of course, coming up on stage after him is the perennial, now 8-time French champion. And wait for it, here he comes, and you'll hear the crowd in the background screaming for Pierre Puy-Barré. Another athlete just making it into this round of 16 by virtue of one or two of the disciplines in the qualification round is Alessandro Ciapponi from Italy. Another small, compact, but powerful competitor.
Indeed. It'll be interesting to see what he does, since this is his first.
And he'll be in the very last heat against Armin Kugler. There he is. Now joining him and the rest on stage from the Netherlands, Redmar Knoll. He struggled a little bit in the time trials or the qualifications. We saw that, but hopefully he can bring it together in the round of 16 here and do some damage. But he's going to be up against a competitor in that final heat. It's going to be quite the battle for him, because he's going to go up against the perennial Austrian champion, Armin Kugler. 8-time national pro champion, 9 trophy appearances before today. I mean, he's got a laundry list of qualifications as well.
Indeed.
So there you have it, all 16 athletes getting ready to go into the round of 16. And remember, this is a knockout format. And of course, our judges, Bart Janssen, Andy Hall, and Global Sports Director, Spike Milton. So there you've got our athletes on stage. Yolanda, you ready?
I'm ready.
I'm ready. It is the European Trophy 2022 here live in Schierhain, and we are going to check out the format right now. The STIHL TIMBERSPORTS Trophy competition. In the trophy format, athletes have to complete 4 disciplines back-to-back. After the start, they need to cut a complete disc with the stock saw within a 10-centimeter area. From there, the athletes have to complete the underhand chop as quickly as possible. Only after they split the block can they return to the starting point, where this time the single buck is waiting for them to cut 1 complete cookie. In the final discipline, the athletes have to complete the standing block chop in order to achieve the best possible overall time. Any rule infraction will result in a disqualification, and the athlete will be eliminated. All participants must first demonstrate their skills in the time trial. The better the athletes perform in the time trial, the easier their first elimination round will be.
The athletes now continue to compete in a knockout system through the quarterfinals and semifinals. The losers of the semifinals will fight for the last podium spot in the small final. After that, the two winners of the semifinals will compete one more time to see who takes the title.
All right, so there's our round of 16 lineup, and as you heard in the format, Michał Dubicki, being the fastest in the qualification, will go up against Marcel Steinkemper, who just barely squeaked in. Tough job for the young German. First competition for him as well in this format.
That's right, Tim. It's always hard going up against the big guys.
Especially Dubicki, because he's the biggest of the big guys. He's very fast in this discipline. We've seen that. He had the fastest time, I think he was 1:22 and change in the qualification. His personal best is obviously a little bit faster, and Marcel Steinkemper hopefully will get a personal best after this, and you can see the world record is an unbelievable 54.68. That was done just recently in the United States. A lot of debate about that, but hey, we'll talk about that some other day and some other round, and there you see Michał Dubicki getting ready with his single buck. So Yolanda, obviously we know this is a crazy format. What's more important here? Stamina, strength, accuracy, or how would you describe it?
I think you need everything. That'll get you to the top.
So now Marcel Steinkemper there, this is his first time competing in this discipline. It could be, if Michał Dubicki makes a major mistake, Marcel Steinkemper makes it to the next round. There's all and everything can happen in this discipline, which we have seen in the past. We've also seen DQs where one athlete was faster but got DQ'd, and the next athlete who managed to get the slower time managed to get through to the next round. So that's what makes this discipline, or this format rather, so completely and utterly exciting. It's just non-stop from the get-go.
That's right. You never know what's going to happen.
Okay,
and even though you might be the underdog, or
so
you can still, there's always that chance.
All right, so this is the first sign of the action getting ready to go. It's Michał Dubicki from Poland going up against Marcel Steinkemper from Germany. Here we go.
Ready. Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go.
Good start cut by both of these guys. They just need to drop one cookie onto the deck here, and Marcel Steinkemper right there with Dubicki as they head over to the underhand chop. Dubicki's got a quick axe though, and he is right away into the business of that axe, working the log very nicely. Loses his hat on the way down. Hopefully that doesn't play head games with him. Steinkemper moving over to the other side, hanging there a little bit as he regains his balance. And then he starts to work on the other side of his block ahead of Dubicki. Dubicki is so quick though, and I hope Steinkemper can really do the work to keep up with him. Sometimes they say you're playing up when you know you're going up against a guy that's got more experience, is a little bit better. Steinkemper has yet to break through his block as Dubicki is now working on the single buck. Now, Steinkemper kicks his pad out of the way and starts working there, but Dubicki got a big hookup, and Steinkemper has an opportunity here, but now Dubicki moves over to the standing block chop with a massive lead. Steinkemper losing his breath a little bit now as he comes towards the bottom of his block. Kind of lost his direction, heading over towards the standing block, and now he works on the standing block here. Dubicki working on the other side of his, and both of these men looking a little bit tired. Dubicki's coming close to getting through it there, though. A couple more drivers should do it for the big man from Poland. Here it comes, and he has done it in 1:18.81, but here the times are less important than before. And now it's all about Steinkemper just fighting his way through this one, but we know that Dubicki is going to be moving on to the next round from this heat.
That's right, but Steinkemper still wants to make a good time for his placing.
Exactly. Marcel, he's got the fighting spirit. He's not giving up. We talked about it earlier on. He said he was completely gassed after his qualification round. And we talked a little bit about what kind of training things that he can do down the road to make sure that he's really prepared for these battles now that he's got a little bit of headspace about it.
And the winner is Michał Dubicki.
So actually, if we look at the competition that we just saw here between Michał Dubicki and Marcel Steinkemper did better now than he did in the qualification round.
That's right. I think when you get warmed up, that second round, you get a little bit ahead.
Koen Martin said, yeah, that first one is done. I'm warm now, the body's moving, the muscles are there. And here you see that big pause by Steinkemper as he moved over to the other side of his block ahead of Dubicki. Now, as we took a look at the other angle from Steinkemper's block, was it maybe not quite as deep as it should have been on the first side?
I think it was deep enough, but it wasn't open wide enough. So that way, when he went to the other side, he also wasn't in line with his opening.
Okay. And there's that big hookup from Michał Dubicki.
That always kind of gets you in your head, oh.
Yeah,
how's it going to end?
Breathing heavy, you can see there. Just sucking in those big gasps of air. It also is quite warm. I think we've topped out at 32, 33 degrees. It's a bit muggy, so that's going to affect the way these guys can perform on stage as well.
That's right. They're lucky now that the sun's kind of gone from the stage this morning. They were in the full sun.
So times are a little bit slower as we get set for heat number 2 with Jacek Groenwald from Poland going up against Martin Kalina from the Czech Republic.
So this will be a cool combination. They're both personal bests, fairly similar.
Yeah, pretty close. And their stage crew doing a fantastic bang-up job, as always, to get that stage ready for competition.
That definitely is key. Without them, this wouldn't be happening.
Yeah, and it's also, they play such an important role. It's not just about getting the stage ready, it's about making sure that the stage is safe.
That's right.
Yeah, the last thing you want to have is a bunch of sawdust or wood chips in your way as you're running from your, let's say, stock saw up to the underhand chop and slip on something as you grab your axe. I mean, that's just completely dangerous. So those guys do play a critical role in making sure that the stage is safe for them, and as well, it's not just being clean. So Spike Milton making some last-minute adjustments on that one block, getting it in place. And our athletes come up on deck. Stands number 1, by the way, on the left-hand side. That will be where Jacek Groenwald is. And stands number 2 will belong to Martin Kalina on the right-hand side of your screen when we go back to our front camera. There we go. Same process with the single buck, setting it in place and making sure that it is ready to go with the cut in.
So the most difficult part of this part with the single buck is where it's not in the in cut completely, is when you go and grab that saw that you're not hooking up by that first pull.
Yeah, and these big, long, 2-meter long cross-cut saws. Now, we did talk about this before. Some are longer than 2 meters, some are shorter than 2 meters. You mentioned that your single buck is a little bit shorter than 2 meters, so they're usually custom-made for the athlete's height.
That's right, yeah.
Okay, gentlemen, warm up your swords. Athlete,
interesting
ready.
hand position by Jacek Groenwald there.
Timber. 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, Groenwald and Kalina both starting cleanly. Both of them moving over to the underhand chop, pretty much in sync with each other, and they get in sync with those first drivers into the block. Kalina a little bit more pace than Groenwald. Groenwald gets a bit of a stick up there as he moves over to the other side, takes a pause for balance, and Kalina joins him about a stroke later. Groenwald wearing the white and red jersey, Kalina in the colors of his nation in red, white, and blue. Yes, other nations can have red, white, and blue, folks. All right, and now on to the single buck. Groenwald now making pace as he moves over to that long saw. And that one actually looks longer than 2 meters.
It does look really long, and he's using it completely from end to end, which is great.
Yeah, knuckles to tip as he now drops that cookie and moves over to the standing block chop with a huge advantage over Martin Kalina at the moment. Martin Kalina drops his cookie and now has an opportunity to catch up. He's got to be real good on this standing block chop with Kalina struggling, not struggling, but trying to catch up with Groenwald here. Groenwald now moving over to the other side of his block. Huge advantage, many strokes ahead now as we look at the standing block chop. And I think this one, no problem for Kalina, as he had a huge lead coming out of the single buck, and that's going to be it right there. 125.49 for Jacek Groenwald from Poland. Kalina now moving over to the other side, cutting in from high on top, get a big slab there. He's going to want those points from the score. Needs to get it done quickly, though. A couple more drivers should get him through there. Done and dusted at 148.64. So the heat was close right up until about the midway point of the underhand chop, I would say.
And the winner is Groenwald.
Maybe we'll see in the slow-mo where Kalina was having a little bit of issues.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see because for me it seemed like they started off, they were in sync on the first side, but it was Jacek Groenwald that moved over quickly. Okay, here we go.
As you saw there, the saw, he put it on the mat partway on the floor. It was a little tipsy. That's always a... be careful, because if that saw falls over, it means you get a DQ.
Ah, yeah, you can see it right there. It has to be sitting flat. Now you can see Jacek Groenwald moving over to the standing block chop as Kalina is about halfway through his block there. Okay, next up in the round of 16, heat number 3, Koen Martens, the man with some serious experience, going up against Matthias Kalima, just came out of the rookie academy. Can't count anybody out, though. We never can count anybody out. It's anybody's game here. We always say anything can happen. It's a little bit like cross sports, you know. You might be in the lead, you can fall over your own 2 feet, and you've lost it. So, yeah, you got to be right on top of your game going through all of these rounds here.
Yeah, it's not like the individual where you got, I still have one event that maybe I can catch up.
Yeah, there is no catch-up chance here. It's you've got to battle right through from beginning to end. And this is an endurance. I mean, let's call it an endurance sprint. You have to have that gas in your tank, because if you go from the time trials to the round of 16, the quarterfinals, semifinals, and finals, you're doing this, what, 5 times? So you've got to be fit.
A lot of training.
Yeah, you've got to be fit. So CrossFit, folks, CrossFit, folks, CrossFit, folks. Or get on your horse and ride, as they say.
Yes. So you can see here, they do not have the official footholds that the athlete makes themselves. It's literally cut across, makes it easier for wood prep and for them to get onto their blocks. But the footholds still count. You can't be chopping over where your feet are.
Yeah. And I saw they have a special machine back there to make sure that all of those blocks, I believe they're 24, 25 centimeter blocks, or are they a bit bigger than that? I don't know the exact size.
They're a little bit bigger.
They have a special machine back there to cut that foothold all the way across evenly for every single athlete. So again, you know, we spoke with Spike Milton, as global sports director, earlier about the competition wood, how it's the same across the board for everybody. And again, they've done the same thing with this particular block to make sure that it's the same for everybody with the same foothold for everybody. Because you did mention in an earlier competition, the guys cut their own footholds, and some of them are bigger and some of them are a little bit smaller.
That's right.
So there you see Koen Martens in the red jersey. National record for Champions Trophy. A legend in Belgium.
Making sure that axe sticks.
Yes, we saw that in an earlier competition. The athletes actually fell out of the standing block chop, and that meant for him that even though he had a good time, he was disqualified because the axe wasn't secured safely. So that's a big deal here. Safety is of utmost importance for the judges here. Matthias Kalima setting his saw. Now you can see that strap that Andy Hall is using to measure the depth to make sure that he has the same depth as Koen Martens and that everybody has the same depth there so that there isn't an advantage of just a little tiny bit. Pull up those pants, Koen. You don't want to make your elbows itch too much, buddy.
Okay, gentlemen. Warm up your swords!
Notice that Matthias Klima warmed up his saw on the ground as opposed to Koen Martens.
That way it's already where it needs to be.
Okay. To your timber. That's thinking. Here we go.
2, 1, go!
Now Matthias Klima is going to challenge him on the saw for sure. Not the hot saw, but this stock saw as they both move to the underhand chop fairly quickly. Koen Martens maybe a half of a stroke, a full stroke, getting into the block a little bit faster than Matthias Klima. You can see Matthias got a pretty wide cut to start things off with, and they both move over to the backside of their block pretty evenly as well. And Klima knows that he's got a great competitor next to him on stage, so he really wants to be there. And like I said, sometimes you battle up, and there you go. Koen Martens making sure that that block is properly split, and Matthias is doing a really good job to keep up with the big man on the other side there. And look at this, Matthias is doing very nicely in that single buck. Nice long strokes. Oh, and Koen Martens got hooked up. But he still managed to get through, and Klima is right there with him. A little slip by Klima as he stepped away there to move towards the standing block chop.
Those are good hard hits. You can see how they're following their lines that they drew.
Klima just about a stroke behind now. Koen Martens is in trouble. Klima's coming hard from behind. Koen Martens going to have to depend on every ounce of his experience against a very strong young man from the Czech Republic. Oh boy, look at that. It's going to be Koen Martens.
Wow.
And Matthias Klima with a huge hook up there. And you can see he is breathing heavy now. A couple of big hookups for Matthias Klima, and it looks to me like he maybe didn't cut as much on the first side that he wanted to based on the lines that he drew.
That's right. The first few hits were good, but then...
So as a first-time competitor, Matthias Klima will take that 138.38 as a personal best. And that'll be adjusted to 138.10 by competition control.
And the winner is Koen Martens.
And right now, Koen Martens in first place? No, that can't be right. That's just first in the heat. I just had a bit of a brain meltdown there. I'm still thinking individual competition and scores, but it's just the first in that heat of two. But Matthias Klima did a fantastic job to really push Koen Martens all the way to the end of this one. They were in sync on this first side. Really nice drivers for both of these guys.
He definitely did. He was going to make sure he gave him a run for his money.
So I'm going to say that's just one stroke ahead. Koen Martens one stroke ahead of Matthias Klima as they switch sides. Koen Martens making double sure that he's got that block cut. And here we'll see Koen Martens hook up a little bit, I believe, near the bottom of his single buck. is.
There it is, yep. The misery whip.
Not once, but twice, and that gave an opportunity to Maciej Klima, but it was just the experience. So for Maciej, it was at that standing block chop. Where do you think was the difference for him?
I think maybe those last couple of hits before he turned, he maybe should have done one more, two more to get that last chip out, and then switch over, and it would have been maybe a little bit easier.
There you go. So Maciej, take that information to the bank. So next up, heat number 4, Guillaume Moore, who got second place in yesterday's men's competition here, going up against Oliver Reinhardt, who has also made the transitions from the rookie academy into the pro ranks here. We saw some real skill from him in Vienna, and this will be his 4th appearance in a trophy here at the European Trophy 2022 in Schierhain, France, as our stage crew makes the last-minute checks and security checks on stage with all of the zip ties to make sure nothing falls out of place like we saw earlier on.
Yeah, that's not, you don't want that happening.
So next coming on stage, we have Olli Reinhardt and Guillaume Moore. So you can see he's already got a personal best at Champions Trophy with a 1:15 and change. Looking to make some improvements on that here. And as I said, the man's got everything he needs to have in order to become one of the big champions in the sport. He's young, he's strong, he's fit. He seems to check all the boxes, so to say.
And he wants it.
And he wants it.
I have the privilege of being in the same training club as Olli.
Oh.
And, so I get to watch him train, and it's incredible to see that guy go.
Here's where that routine that I talked about earlier plays such a huge role. Hey, everything in exactly the same place, saw angle, exactly the same.
Okay, gentlemen.
It's a bit of a superstitious thing as
Warm
well.
up your soul.
I think so.
For you too?
Yes.
Admit it. How many axes do you have?
2 boxes.
I'll never tell. There you see the MS661 stock saw. Same saw you can buy at your local dealer. Here we go.
3, 2, 1, go!
Guillaume Moore with a quicker start into that cut, but it looks like Olli Reinhardt's got a very clean cut there. Both of them dropping the block at the same time. Guillaume a little bit quicker over to the underhand chop, but here Olli is very fast. Quick act, very powerful, super accurate. Guillaume Moore moving over to the other side of his block now. Oop, a step down by Olli Reinhardt. It's an opportunity for Guillaume Moore to get a couple of strokes in ahead of him. Let's see if Olli can do it here.
So now they're pretty much almost the same.
Oh, look at that. It's going to be a tie game coming into the single buck and a quick start. And you mentioned that he's got to go around the other side to start his saw, so that's a disadvantage for Olli Reinhardt, but he seems to be doing okay with it. And Guillaume Moore set his saw with a very, very thin disc.
Yeah, so he took a little too much by the stock saw.
Oh, this is going to be a tight one here as Olli Reinhardt seems to have gotten the first few drivers into the standing block chop ahead of Guillaume Moore. Guillaume Moore took a brief pause there. Olli Reinhardt moves over to the other side. That was a quick turn. Maybe too soon?
We'll see. Time will tell.
Well, Olli is definitely motivated. He's putting everything he's got into it right now. A straight cut right there. It looks like it might be coming close. Guillaume Moore. Oh, and Olli Reinhardt's done it in 1:22.39 with Guillaume Moore coming just behind him with a 1:25.54.
And the winner is Oliver Reinhardt.
He'll be happy with that.
Yeah. See the smile on his face right away. He knew he had that one with no DQs or anything like that. Great job by Oliver Reinhardt. take a look back at the slow-mos here. This is a pretty tight race, actually.
Yeah, even though Oli was very slow on the saw. You see the stick of the axe with Julian.
Wow, just a half swing difference there at the split. And there you see that, what you were talking about, Yolanda, when he has to go around to the other side because he cuts from the other side on the single buck.
That's right, you just lose that 1-2 seconds, but they were so even getting going with the saw.
Now I want to know what this big delay here was by Guillaume Moa, so we don't get to see it, unfortunately. But he really took one long pause and stared at the block before he did one of his swings on the first side.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
Oh. Yeah, Ollie seemed like he knew he had it, but wanted it a little bit too much and kind of stepped back from it and slipped through.
Yeah, you'll see that a lot by the guys who think last hit, get it, but no deal.
All right, so Emil Hansen next up against Gunther Dahlinger. Stage is like an anthill with the activity that's on there, with everybody moving and shucking and jiving to make sure that's ready to go. Gunther Dahlinger, another guy that just squeaked into the
that's right.
round of 16 here, so no personal best. So his aim today will be to try and beat one of the better athletes in this discipline, but also just to get himself a personal best and a number on the board. So now in previous events, in the individual events, we see the guys come on stage with two axes, just like they're coming on stage here, but they have two axes in case something is untoward with one of their axes, right?
Either if the axe keeps sticking in the wood so they can change it, or if something happens. There's the chance that the handle can break, or if you hit a branch, which is in your log, that you can change because there's a piece missing out of your axe. It won't cut as well.
Not the same situation here. They're coming on stage with two axes, but each of those axes is for a different discipline, and they can't have more than two on stage, correct?
That I'm not aware of, but I think it is two axes, but they can switch it if need be.
Okay.
But they don't have time.
No, that's just going to kill their time completely. I mean, even in the individual competition, switching an axe takes a second or two, so I don't think I would recommend this, no?
Okay, gentlemen.
All right, Emil Hansen, Gunther Dahlinger. Heat number 5 in the round of 16.
Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Nice, clean cut by Emil Hansen. Gunther Dahlinger not that far behind as they move over to the underhand chop now. Emil, the big stick there. Gunther Dahlinger going for those quicker, perhaps less powerful strokes and hits.
We'll see if they pay out in the end.
Both of them on their other side now. Emil Hansen looked like he's coming pretty close to splitting it. Gunther Dahlinger's got a little bit more material to go through. Emil Hansen, one last check now. Emil Hansen had this problem in Vienna as well, where he didn't cut through and he had just a thread holding on and was disqualified, so he's got to be really careful, and hopefully he doesn't make that same mistake again. And now he is on that single buck with Gunther Dahlinger struggling to get through, and finally does on the underhand chop. And you can see him breathing heavy as he moves over to his single buck, but Emil Hansen now a distinct advantage. Taking his time, maybe saving a little bit of energy because he knows he sees Gunther Dallinger on the single buck, and he's not too worried at this point. But he can't slouch about it either.
No, because you never know.
And there he goes, 125.48 for Emil Hansen. Now the big question, and that's where Bart's going immediately, is to check that underhand chop of Emil Hansen's to make sure it is in fact split. Gunther Dallinger still working on his block as he gets support from the French crowd here and the guys that have come with from Austria. A little bit of a skip there as he made that upcut.
Yeah, his upcuts are fairly flat. He really needs to get down there to his feet with his axe.
And again, it's like we talked about during the rookie competition. This is all about the experience and the time with the axe in hand. And unfortunately, he went over the time limit, so he does have a DQ.
There's a good chance that he probably would have had another DQ there, where we'll maybe see it in the slow-mo. The kind of a wrenching by his last hit to get that block off. And as we can also see, is the saw is laying on its side. So the question is, how did that saw get on its side?
Yeah, it's a moot point here. A moot point, I should say, as Emil Hansen won that one hands down, and it's a learning experience for Gunther Dallinger. Unfortunately, no time in there for him to have as a personal best to work for and from. Started off promisingly, though, for Gunther, as he had a pretty good stock saw, but like you said, the only problem was that the saw ended up on its side, which is not allowed. So had he won that heat, there may have been that DQ that you mentioned.
That's right, because it is called then throwing the saw, not safe.
Yeah, we did see a similar situation in the Australian Trophy finals as the headphones or the ear protection were thrown across the stage, accidentally on purpose, I don't know, in front of the other competitor, and so there was a DQ for that reason as well. You can see Hans-Evo Hansen down there on the side, giving plenty of encouragement to Emil Hansen. Gunther Dallinger, yeah, you can see those angles of the cuts that you were mentioning, and it's a bit choppy there as well, hey?
See how he lifted? I think it was a complete cut, but he had to lift it up, so it's questionable.
Alrighty, here we go with Ferry Swan and Danny Martin.
This is going to be an interesting.
It's going to be an interesting one for sure. And Danny, not the biggest fan of the trophy format, but you know, he's got to get into it. He's got to get that power into this particular format, because this is such an exciting format, and I think it's the format of the future for, you know, events down the road on a larger scale, because it is so fun. It's so easy to understand, and it's so active from beginning to end.
That's right, and the stamina that the athletes need, they really need to train for it. It's not an event that, well, let's try it.
Yeah, come on, let's just jump into it for fun, huh? The advantage that Ferry Swan has is that he's got an Olympian in the family, and his mom does a lot of videotaping, and then they sit down and they analyze together the videotapes that she's done of Ferry's contest, and they really look at what kind of things that he can do to improve on it. And his training regime is bananas. The stuff that he does off-season to stay fit, a lot of cross-country skiing, and you'll also see him at the events. He'll warm up with a cross-country ski machine that he's got hooked up on a railing.
Yes, I've seen that.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. It just keeps everything nice and loose and flowing. All right, stage is ready for our next athletes. Heat number 6, Ferry Swan and Danny Martin. I love the French pronunciation of Ferry Swan. Ferry Swan. Fantastic. Danny Martin, National Pro Champion, 19 and 20, as you could see there. He stepped in and really earned that role. Wow, there's not a lot of wood left there on that block, eh?
No, there isn't.
They're going to have to change the blocks after this heat, guaranteed. They are right close to the stand.
See that mat that they're placing there, the saw into, is because of the vibrations when the saw is going.
Okay, gentlemen.
Walk away.
That's only been something in the last 4 or 5 years, though, because I remember previously they didn't have that mat, and there were guys running after their saw as it would hop along the stage. Yeah, but with necessity comes innovation, right?
That's right.
Athletes ready!
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So Danny Martin is really good with the motor saw in hand, but Ferry Swan is a very solid sawyer when it comes to the single buck, and also both of these guys can chop. But look at Ferry Swan move that axe. The pace that he cuts with the axe is unbelievable. Kind of adopting that Australian speed of the axe head.
Yes, he is.
And that is definitely a massive advantage. Danny Martin is a power hitter, there's no doubt about it, and his accuracy has come a long way. But look at that. He's got the speed and the accuracy, and Ferry Swan is at a deadly combination with that. A couple of quick start cuts for Ferry as, oh, and Danny has to reset that axe. He can't leave it lying there.
Nope.
And now he moves over to the single buck as Ferry Swan moves over to standing block chop. Now, if you're in Ferry Swan's head, knowing similar situation here between him and Danny Martin and Emil Hansen and Gunther Dahlinger, is he taking a bit of a breather on standing block chop, or is he going to really continue to go for it because he knows Danny Martin's solid here?
I think now that he has Danny in his sight, he might take it a little bit easier, but he still has to give it.
And he's done it in 1:11.27, and that's going to be the win in this one for Ferry Swan against Danny Martin. Danny Martin not giving up, and it's looking like he's struggling a little bit as it comes towards the end here. And as you say, Yolanda, it's about the fitness and making sure that endurance and you know, your quick twitch and slow twitch muscle fibers are all working in concert with each other. He's got a ton of power, and you can see that, but it's the endurance at the end.
That's right.
And like we talked a little bit with Spike about the progress of the rookies as well, a lot more lean, mean fighting machines are coming through the rookie ranks that have that endurance and that ability to be strong, accurate, and go for it over a long period of time. But if I know Danny Martin at all, he's a competitor to the core, and he's going to go home and look at this one and go, okay, I need to do this, 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 and this, and this, and work on it.
That's right.
I love how he wears the glasses, grandma style, at the end of his nose. We give him a hard time about that. Or maybe he did that just to get him off faster.
Probably.
But you can see here the difference in the axe speed between the two. Martin, really big, heavy drivers, and a couple of times he got it stuck because of that. And Ferry Swan, he was just quick to get off of that block and move over to the single buck. And
there
right there,
yeah.
Another small problem, hey?
So he lost a couple of seconds right there, and those are crucial.
And there's that first driver from down below at the foot you were talking about. Got to take it from deep. Under the watchful eye of Bart Janssen for any mistakes or anything. He is the RoboCop of Timber Sports judges. If I look at a bit of a comparison of the times at the moment, Ferry Swan has the fastest time of 1:10.89 after adjustment. The next fastest is Michał Dubicki. Now, Michał Dubicki was fastest in the qualifiers. Interestingly enough, Ferry Swan was fairly down on the leaderboard in the qualifiers, which is why he's competing so far down on the list here. Next up, Pierre Puy-Barré going up against Alessandro Ciapponi. Wow, they were quick to get those big blocks in on the main stands back there. You can see they got them locked in fairly fast.
Turbo team.
With the stage crew. Absolutely a pro team. I told Bart that we should do a like a Formula One competition between two squads that do both sides. He says, yeah, we tried to do that one time. It was a disaster. So that tells you what I know, right? Good audience here again, enjoying this beer garden festival style. And as I mentioned, it's the entertainment isn't an Oompapa band, it's timber sports. And in this case, some of the fastest timber sports in the world with the trophy format here today at the European Trophy 2022 from STIHL. Oh yeah, get involved in the conversation if you want. Hashtag STIHL TimberSports or hashtag KissMyAxe, A-X-E, not the other spelling. And get involved in the conversation, check out the action, post a picture and say hello. Yes, folks, you're on TV. Wave to the cameras. Okay.
They're more interested in what's going on the stage. They're more interested in what's going on the stage, not us.
I would be as well, quite honestly. All right, here they come. Wait for it, the introduction of Pierre Pouillet-Barré. And there's the reaction from the audience. Fantastic. They got their heroes, and they love their heroes. And Pierre Pouillet-Barré, 8-time French national champion, is definitely one of their timber sports heroes. So there you see personal best of Champions Trophy speed for Alessandro Schiapponi, 1:37.25. It's considerably slower than the personal best for Pierre Pouillet-Barré. But again, it's all about today and now.
Okay, gentlemen, warm up your swords. Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go.
Clean start, Schiapponi, Pouillet-Barré, round of 16, heat number 7. Saws down, headphones down. Oh, Pouillet-Barré steps off at the underhand chop, giving Schiapponi a slight, maybe 1.5 stroke advantage as he gets into the wood here. That would be a devastating loss for the French fans if Pouillet-Barré can't make it past Schiapponi here. But Pouillet-Barré has already moved over to the other side of his block. That's an incredibly quick first side. You can see the accuracy of his blows as well. He is online every time.
Experience.
Wow! Look at that by Pouillet-Barré. Pouillet-Barré looking pretty relaxed on the single buck right now as Schiapponi struggles to get through that block. One more hit should be doing it. We hope so at least. I don't know, it's pretty close. And now Schiapponi moves over to his single buck and Pouillet-Barré has started on his standing block. So here we have that amalgamation of power and accuracy with Pouillet-Barré. And we saw him get through that underhand so quickly because of it. And now the same thing happening on the standing block chop. Schiapponi's moved over to the standing block now. It seems like Pouillet-Barré is just sort of relaxing through these final drivers on the second side of his block. And there it goes in a time of 1:34.33.
That's right, when you see that you've got it, you want to save that energy for the next round.
So he's got 10 seconds to go here. Chiapponi needs to get it done here. Oh, a big skip of the axe. And at 2 minutes, the time limit exceeded for Chiapponi, and that means it's a disqualification. And you can see the disappointment right there.
Yeah.
In that underhand chop, he seemed like he was right there with Cuibaret, but then slipped over to the other side and just got slower.
It's trying to find that fine line. How much energy do you stick into which discipline?
And the winner is Pierre Cuibaret.
So that's our second DQ of the conversation of the competition because of time exceeded, and that tells you how hard it is to keep that pace up and that speed in those drivers. Let's take a look at this here from Chiapponi. Looked very good on the first side for me.
Good hard hits.
Yeah, but jeez, I mean, he's so fast. Cuibaret.
I think here really experience paid off.
Yeah, you can see Chiapponi just, now he's just blowing smoke now, trying to figure out how to catch up with Cuibaret there. You can also see Chiapponi's got that white arm sock on now. I'm not sure if that's because he had some sort of an injury there or if he's using that as a pressure sock to try and maintain some of the blood flow in the arm.
You see it more and more that they have those arm socks on.
I mean, why not? You got to wear foot socks. Why not arm socks?
That's right.
I mean, they call them hand shoes in German.
That's right.
All right, Redmer Knoll going up against Armin Kugler. Armin Kugler is an interesting character. He has basically been unchallenged and undefeated in his home country of Austria for the last, I don't know, 540 years in timber sports. It's almost about that, right? There is a host of young athletes that are coming up that are going to start to knock on his back door and say, hey, give me my chance. I want a shot at the top spot there. But for the moment, Armin Kugler is the man in Austria. Redmer Knoll representing the Netherlands. Their personal best really not that far apart here in this discipline, or in this format. Redmer did struggle a little bit in the qualification round, but we also saw that a few guys that struggled in the qualification also did okay in this round of 16.
Allez, dernier passage pour ce huitième de finale qui va opposer l'Autriche, Armin.
So there you see Redmer Knoll, big strong man, super friendly guy, always with a smile on his face, and then put him on stage and he's all about the business.
That's right. You gotta have a game face here.
It's funny though, Armin Kugler, always with the game face, but behind those eyes, there's character, huh? There is a trickster in his back pocket that just waits to come out from time to time. Now, for me, that seems like a high handle position for Redmer.
Yeah, most of them start out really at the beginning, but again, it's the weight at the other end.
Woman Pisos.
hoping to maybe balance out that weight that he doesn't have that much to pull at the start.
Athletes, ready!
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
All right, two different styles there. Redmer Knoll cutting that cookie down a little bit quicker than Armin Kugler and starts on the underhand chop just ahead of Kugler. Some big slabs coming out, but a bit of a sticky one and kind of a stutter step on the block for Redmer Knoll as Armin Kugler moves over to the other side now just ahead of Redmer about a half a stroke as they move and start working the second side. Knoll with another sticky one as the two of them are battling through to try and get over to that single buck as quickly as possible. Armin Kugler just a step ahead of Knoll now as they start working on the single buck. Here's where Armin Kugler is such a strong single sawyer. He's got that long saw. It almost looks like his saw is about a bit longer than Redmer's is, and Redmer's got two big stick-ups now, but he has done it. He's through and looks much better this time around than in the qualification as they go to the standing block chop. Redmer Knoll driving as much as he can into that block. Armin Kugler doing the same. Knoll over to the other side. This might have been a bit too early. This one's going to be close, though, as Knoll tagged his axe on the way through on his other axe. That might have put a little bit of a bug in his head, so who's going to drop that block off the top first? It's a battle for who's going on to the quarterfinals. It's maybe going to be really close here between these two. A couple more drivers. Could it be Redmer Knoll moving on? It's looking close for him. Oh my God, how close is this?
Look at that.
And it's going to be one more little bit. He broke his axe handle, and he's got to get it down. Oh no! Who's that going to be? Is it going to be Knoll, or is it going to be Armin Kugler? I can't believe it. You talked about it earlier almost prophetically, and you said he broke it, or he said an axe handle could break, and he did do it. That is going to be a photo finish, folks, and the first time I've seen that happen in a trophy event. Oh my goodness. The question is, where did the rest of the axe go, and does everybody have all their body parts?
It'd be interesting to see where and how it even broke.
Armin Kugler absolutely gutted there. So now the question is, if I look at the times, it's 1:33.08 for Redmer and 1:37.32 for Armin, but there's going to have to be a really close video. There you see it. Yeah. We have video check by our judges, and we have a flag on the play. So that is the reason for the video check. So the question is, I guess, about the axe and what happened there.
I'm assuming, yes. Because one big thing is, in the axe head, there's a pin. So we usually talk about the axe head flying off.
Armin Kugler.
Oh, no. So it was Armin Kugler, but look at the difference in the time, 1:37.39 to 1:37.16, and it was that piece of wood that was just hanging there, and Redmer having to go for the other axe, come back and cut off that piece. What a drag. But you know what? Huge improvement from the qualification round for Redmer Knoll, so he can definitely take that to the bank.
But he's minus one axe handle.
Yeah, one axe handle.
We're hoping that nothing happened with the axe.
Well, it seemed like he found it, so that's a good thing. And let's see if we can see this in the replays, what happened to that axe handle.
Oh, it's so close there. Underhand off to the single buck.
This was a really good race on the single buck as well, and I think that was Redmer right there.
Yeah, he had two hiccups there.
Yeah. So let's see if we can see what happened with Redmer's axe here. Last couple of drivers. He went,
okay, so he hit the block with his axe handle.
And he kind of looked at it, you know, and was a bit surprised. And you can see here, oh yeah, there you can see the block just dropped the head. So it was the actual block dropping off by Armin Kugler. And there, just a couple of hits. If he had had one less hit there, it would have been Redmer's heat. How close was that? My, oh my, oh my. Well, that was an exciting first round here for us. I mean, broken axe, a couple of DQs, some really close racing here in the trophy format. And that's just a round of 16. We're now going to go into the quarterfinals, where we have the fastest guys from that first round of 16 going up against each other in the quarterfinals. That's going to be exciting. So that's still to come. And if I open up my quarterfinals list here, Michał Dubicki is going up against Jacek Groenwald. So the two Polish guys who have been very, very strong today, one of them's going to be gone. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this next round pans out.
Definitely. Unreal. The powerhouse of these guys going at it.
The most interesting thing that we saw from that last round, though, was Redmer Knoll and his axe getting broken. First time I've ever seen that in this competition. I mean, unbelievable. So there you see, overall standings, round of 16. Ferry Swan, by virtue of having the fastest cut, is at the top of those rankings. But these don't really matter all that much to us. We're more interested in the fact that these guys are going through to the quarterfinals, and we're going to see 8 guys in the quarterfinals battling in 4 heats. Heats number 9, 10, 11, and 12. And it's interesting to note here that the 2 Polish athletes will be going against each other in heat number 1, and the 2 Swedish athletes will be going against each other in heat number 3. So at somewhere along the line here, 1 Pole and 1 Swede is going to be out of the competition.
That's right. It's always a bummer going against your teammates.
Yeah, so it'd be nice to mix them up a little bit. Come on, let's roll the dice and see here. But unfortunately, it's not happening. But we are ready to go on stage, and our first athletes are coming out by what I see on our video screen here. So let's check out the heats. Dubicki and Groenwald going against each other. Yeah, okay, they're teammates. Yeah, okay, they're probably friends, but on stage, that all goes out the window. Koen Martens and Ollie Reinhard will be going up against each other. That should be an interesting battle, young versus old. I don't want to call Koen Martens old by any stretch of the imagination, but I mean, let's call it, okay, let's call it experience against experience. And then we have Emil Hansen, Ferry Swan, and Pierre Pouillet-Barré against Armin Kugler. That's a battle we've seen many, many, many times in the past, but here, heat number 1 in the quarterfinals, Michał Dubicki against Jacek Groenwald. Michał Dubicki always with the serious face, you know. Big guy, huge arms, big chest, super strong.
Wouldn't want to meet him in a dark alley.
His training regime is bananas, what he does for training, but the nicest dude.
Yes.
Super friendly,
very nice.
Always open, big smile on his face in the back, in the paddocks and stuff. So yeah, can't say enough good things about him.
The last checks there, marking their logs.
Precise measurements for Dubicki. Holds the national record for the Champions Trophy, 102 and change. Haven't seen any records go down today, really, just personal best, but you know, as we discussed quite a lot about the wood, it's a bit heavy today.
That's right. It's hard. You gotta know how to take that.
You mentioned earlier about the chisel axe and the banana blade, or the banana axe. What constitutes the difference between the two? The shape of the head?
Exactly. When you look at the axes, they all look kind of different. They all, usually the angle that it's sharpened is fairly similar, but how the axe goes to the widest part, that's where the difference is. And it all depends. Some people swear by the chisel and only use the chisel. Others have 3 or 4 different types of axes in their boxes.
And so will a banana have a more curved head at the blade?
That's right. That's where it gets the name.
Okay. Well, come on. I just want to, I mean, you know, you got to give me a little bit of credit here for guessing that one. We have banana blades in hockey as well.
Okay, gentlemen.
Yolanda's teasing me, Mom. All right, here we go. The two Poles going up against each other. Michał Dubicki, Jacek Groenwald. Quarterfinal action now, and this is where it starts to get a little bit more serious.
Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So far, good start. Dubicki quicker on the stalk saw, moving over to the underhand chop. 3 strokes ahead now of Groenwald as he moves over. Such power in both of these men, but Dubicki is a huge guy. He's got massive arms, a huge chest, as we were mentioning. He's got so much strength, but his improvements over the last years have been in his accuracy. He's still a bit of a monster when it comes to the wood there, and you can see he got through that underhand chop pretty snappy. On to the single buck. In the past, I've seen Dubicki struggle a little bit on the single buck, but he's really made strides to improve there, hey?
He has. It's all in the training.
Groenwald a couple of strokes back here on single buck as Dubicki is onto his standing block chop now. Final driver on the first side, and he moves over. Groenwald joining him on the other side now, but Dubicki is well and truly in control of this one with a time of 1:12.97. Still not quite as fast as Ferry Swan's time from earlier on, but a good time nevertheless. And in this case, it doesn't really matter because he is going to win against Jacek Groenwald here in the quarterfinals, and that means we're going to see Michał Dubicki in the semis. I'm just thinking, you got to be really careful putting the sheaths on your axes as well. One small slip and you got a problem.
That's right.
And the winner is Michał Dubicki.
Even having that case in your hand is dangerous because you never know. Might go through.
All right, take a look back at the highlights from this last heat between Jacek Groenwald and Michał Dubicki. It really is about the control of that saw, eh?
There's so many different methods. If you do it on an angle, flat, you got to figure it out for yourself. What we didn't see is I love his hop when he switches sides. Dubicki just literally flies around and on the other side.
And it's light-footed for a big man as well.
That's right.
Running out of a bit of steam, got to save some power for those last 2 heats of the day. Making the assumption that he's going to go through to the final because he is absolutely one of the favorite athletes for the European Trophy 2022. Next up in the quarterfinals, heat number 2, Koen Martens going up against Ollie Reinhardt. Ollie hasn't beat his personal best yet here today, but maybe going up against Koen Martens, he'll step up his game a little bit, play up, as they say.
So the only big difference in these two guys is really their age. Size, weight, spot on.
Pretty much, yeah. So we can say virtue and experience against youth and vigor.
That's right.
said nicely. Last preps on stage as we get ready for heat number 2 in the quarterfinals. Here come our boys. Only one athlete representing Switzerland this time around.
That's right. The competition was pretty tough in Switzerland. It was a lot of hardwood and a few DQs.
That's okay.
We're a small country and limited with the athletes who are into the trophy format, so.
Oh, we got to change that somehow.
We sure do.
Just taking a look over my shoulder here at the trophies that these guys will receive for the European Trophy 2022. They were created by an artist named Samuel Grégoire, who is from the west coast of France, and he actually has an interesting way of creating these trophies. He dips a chainsaw blade in paint and runs the chainsaw to spray it onto his art.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. He's got a stand here. If you're here right now, go take a look. It's unreal.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Well, not right now because we're in the middle of competition.
Sure.
Yolanda.
Sorry.
All right. Oh, we got a bit of a quick change on one of the stands for the underhand chop for Ollie Reinhardt. I see that they often switch the stand position around so that the hooks are put in from the other side occasionally. Is that because of the way that the person chops? Or
That's
is
right.
It just
there's two ways to chop. If you're left or right-handed or whatever your preference is. And to be able to do this event, it has to be that you are facing the single buck block so that you can run towards it.
So in other words, the foot that comes off first is the one that they want to have away from the hooks.
That's right.
Got it. See, so many small things that are going on here. So you'll be for sure crossing your fingers for Ollie Reinhardt as a non-neutral party over here.
That's right, that's right. I'm Swiss, I'm neutral.
You.
Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go.
Oh, nice even drop by both of them. Kuhn over to that underhand chop a bit faster than Ollie. Ollie working that axe quick though. Let's see who's going to jump over to the other side first. It's going to be Kuhn Martens, about 2 strokes ahead of Ollie Reinhardt at this point as he moved over to the other side. He has, so let's call it 4 strokes. Kuhn Martens with a slight advantage here as Ollie starts digging into the second side with some nice slabs coming out of his block. Kuhn Martens, oh my goodness, that thing looks loose. That whole block looks almost loose, but it's going to be Ollie actually getting through first and heading over to the single buck. This could be closer than we imagine as Ollie starts to put the pressure on Kuhn Martens. Kuhn Martens pretty solid with that single buck saw, but we also know that Ollie is definitely no slouch. But look how easy Kuhn Martens is. Nice and relaxed as he cuts through there. Last little stroke out. And now they both move over to the standing block chop at the same time. These quarterfinals are starting to get exciting between these two gentlemen here. Question is, which one of them will go through? Will it be youth and beauty or age and experience?
Nice way of putting it.
Nice way of putting it. Ollie Reinhardt moves over to the second side of his block, a little bit behind Kuhn Martens here. They both got plenty of power. Who's got the juice for the final drivers? It's looking good for Ollie Reinhardt, but it's Kuhn Martens that does it in 1:33.86. And I thought Ollie was actually closer to it than he really was. He's going to keep pushing through with a 1:42.69. Wow. He kept it close, though. He kept it really close right up until those last 4 or 5 drivers.
I think Koen would have probably been a little bit faster if he wasn't worried about that block coming off out of the stand because it was so wiggly.
Yeah, it really looked strange on the underhand chop. It looked like the whole block twisted as he took one driver in.
So it's kind of the same thing with we saw earlier where the block came out of the standing. It is possible that that can happen in the underhand.
And the winner is Koen Martin.
And he's done it again. He continues to surprise and amaze. Although I don't know why I would say surprise. I mean, he's such a skilled athlete. That's just kind of unfair. Koen Martens does it one more time, though, and he keeps the day alive for himself in the quarterfinals, moving on to the semis. That means he's going to have a bit of a tough job if I do my math correctly. He's going to be up against Michał Dubicki in semifinal number 1.
That's going to be a hard round.
Oh, yeah. See if we can see what happened with Koen's block there. Oh yeah, loosened up on that right foot.
Oh yeah, you can see the dog, how it falls out.
It came out immediately there. That dog. Normally they have a zip tie around that to keep it in place there.
They usually do.
Now, if something like that happens, do the athletes have a chance to go to the judges and say, hey, listen, if, for instance, Koen Martens lost that heat, but was close?
He probably could, because it depends. Usually the athlete is in charge of putting his own block in and putting those zip ties on. But here I think the stage crew is helping, so it's kind of hit or miss.
Okay.
In which direction that it would go. He could definitely try it, but where he went on, he won the heat. I don't think he's going to
No, obviously he's not going to complain. All right, quarterfinal heat number 3 between the two Swedes, Emil Hansson and Ferry Svan. Couple of handsome fellas.
They sure are, indeed. I must agree.
We won't let Pierman hear any of that, then we'll just keep that to ourselves. Pretty close times as well. A little bit faster from Ferry. Also, he does have a slight bit more experience than Emil Hansson, only just recently jumping up to the pro levels, but both of them were very, very solid rookies. You see Hans over Hansson on stage as well, double checking everything on the blocks. And this time Dan Hansen is out there, or Dan Jansen, excuse me, is out there making sure those zip ties are on and in place.
Indeed, we don't want that happening again.
Yeah, I mean, the zip ties are only nylon ties, so all of that impact as well can, you know, it can shake them loose. They're not exactly the strongest things in the world, but it's just a safety aspect.
It just gives a little bit more security that nothing can happen. Making their guidelines very important, so you know where to hit. Mark it quite high there, pretty close to those screws, which are, see, you just pointed it out. They're gonna see, maybe take it out and put it up a little higher.
Yeah, Bart Jansen's just making a mark on that thing, but it's been noted, and looks like he's communicating with the people backstage. And yeah, here comes somebody right now with a impact screwdriver. So good call. They're going to remove it and change it and put it in a different spot, I guess.
Screws are very important because of the slabbing rule. The athlete doesn't have an advantage, but you really do not want to hit one of those with your axe.
Not with the prices that you guys are paying for those axes.
No, definitely not.
That takes you paid for the axe using the whole thing to another level then, huh? Like you said with the single buck. You paid for the single buck, you might as well use the whole single buck.
That's right.
And again, this routine that they have is everything's got to be in exactly the same place, exactly the same angles, exactly the same locations for the big blocks to hold the axes. I guess having that routine also calms you down a little bit before this, because then you know this is there and that's there and everything's lined up perfectly the way that you like it, so that there's no more question about when you step to your next discipline, that everything is in line.
That's right, because we saw it earlier by Marcel Steinkemper. He was a little bit disorientated, but that's literally with the experience.
Yeah, it looks like he took a step to the side, took a step to the left, and was like, oh, there's my axe over there. Okay, now I got to go this way.
Warm up your swords. Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Two different styles of attack on getting the saw up, but both of them very quick. Emil just a hair faster than Ferry. But here you go, you see Ferry with those quick hits, although he's gotten it stuck a couple of times now. Emil Hansen over to the other side of his block, just ahead of Ferry by about 3 strokes now. Oh, Ferry's really having trouble on the first side of his block, as he's taken quite a long time to get over to the other side. So I guess there might have been something that he found in the block on the way through. Emil Hansen with the advantage at the moment. That saw right at his feet, though, so he's got to really be aware of that as he starts cutting with the single buck. Ferry Swan a little bit frantic now. Sorry, go ahead.
When he goes to the standing there,
yeah, but he didn't seem to have any problems. Stepped right over it, and Emil Hansen has now moved over onto the standing block chop. Ferry Swan has caught up with him here on standing, but the question is, who's going to be around first? It's going to be Emil Hansen. Emil Hansen with a distinct lead over his countrymate, as Ferry Swan's now moved over to the other side. We know that Ferry Swan can come from behind in this particular discipline. He's working hard, but Emil Hansen has it in 1:11.86, and that is the first time in a while that Ferry Swan's been beaten in this format. Very, very nice job by Emil Hansen. A couple of wily competitors right there, but Emil Hansen did it, and he'll be moving on to the next round.
Emil Hansen.
After a disappointing DQ in Vienna at the World Trophy, Emil Hansen backing it up here with a very good performance in the quarterfinals of the European Trophy.
That's right, because his time was good at the World Trophy. It was just that DQ.
Very good. Yeah, and it was only because of a thread of wood. See Emil over to the other side. I'm really curious to know if we can get a front view of that block from Ferry Swan. What was going on up front there, because he got stuck a few times.
But both of their axes had been sticking.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct right there as well.
You can see when Emil is through, he literally almost trips over his cookie.
Oh, you're right.
Because it just kind of skipped away.
The cookie and the saw, both in the way there. That could have been a devastating problem for him had he fallen down.
That's the other thing. Where do you put that equipment once you're through with that discipline, that it's not in your way later?
There's that final driver from Emil Hansen, though. Fantastic finish for him. What a great job. Okay, here's a couple of dudes that have been battling for years against each other. They've been through thick and thin on stage in the individual and in the trophy format. And here we are again. Pierre Puy-Barré from France going up against Armin Kugler from Austria. Both pretty big guys, 1.96 to 1.90, 110 kilograms to 115 kilograms. Age difference, it's marginal, 5 years. So it's all about their experience, and both of them have a ton of experience, both in the individual format and the trophy format. I guess really what it comes down to is luck, or?
Luck. And what today brings.
Yeah. Who's got the breath, really, I think is really, it's going to be a bit of luck for both of them because they're so evenly matched.
Yeah.
They're so evenly matched. And again, the intro of Pierre Puy-Barré gets the big reaction from the crowd here. So as we get down to the wire, this is our last heat in the quarterfinals. That will load up our semifinal. So we know we're going to see Michał Dubicki in the semifinal. We know he's probably going to be going up against Koen Martens. Emil Hansen will also be in the semifinal. The question is, who will join Emil Hansen in that second semifinal heat? Will it be that man right there, Armin Kugler, or will it be the man in blue on the other side that the crowd here will be cheering for from France, Pierre Puy-Barré? Any bets on this one?
Oh, no. I'm not a betting man, betting woman.
I was going to say, you're not a betting man at all.
I'm going to say the wilder that they are out here.
More it's going to push Puy-Barré?
Both of them.
Probably, hey? You can look at that from two different aspects. The home team's getting a huge cry from the crowd here, and the visiting team can also utilize that to their advantage, right? So Armin Kugler can definitely take that back to the bank. The question is, are they so focused on what they're doing, do they even hear what's happening outside of the ear protection or outside of their headspace?
I'm going to say once they take the ear protection off, so those that have the big ones on, they take them off, then you kind of hear it. But the ones that have the in-ear ear protection, they probably hear it less. But you still hear a little bit, and it keeps you going, because nothing worse than being up there on stage and you can hear a needle drop.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Last minute test and the saw warm-up.
Warm up your saws. Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go.
Oh, Puy-Barré, Armin Kugler. Puy-Barré slightly ahead of Armin Kugler over to the underhand chop, and here they get into a rhythm with each other. Both of them have similar driver speeds here. Puy-Barré first to the other side by about a half stroke, maybe a full stroke if you want to get really technical about it. That's your job later, Yolanda.
Yeah.
But Puy-Barré pretty close to getting through. Armin Kugler right there with them, and as we said, it's anybody's guess, but it's Armin gets through first. Puy-Barré found a bit of an oddie spot there, and he's finally through. We know that Puy-Barré is solid on this single buck, both of them looking like very long saws from this perspective right here. Armin Kugler, a last push through as he heads over to the standing block chop with the advantage now. Puy-Barré finally stepping over to the standing. Armin looking good. Puy-Barré putting a lot into it here. He's getting plenty of reaction from the audience. Armin on the other side though, and looks like the advantage to Armin Kugler at the moment, but Puy-Barré battling hard to try and come through. He's having a good block so far on standing. It could be very close. It's coming very close for Puy-Barré.
Oh my God!
And the crowd goes bananas.
Unreal.
Armin Kugler did it 3 strokes later than Puy-Barré, although he led from more or less the single buck on. That was an unbelievable heat there. Holy smokes, folks. Can you believe the gumption of the Frenchman to come from behind to win that one? And Armin Kugler, yeah, there's an expletive right there. Ah! Wow, what a heat. And the fans here loved every second of it. And the minute that dropped for Armin or for Puy-Barré, they went completely nuts. I'd be really curious to see what your call is and what your take is on that standing block by Armin, because it looked very good right off the hop here. Let's look back here. So Armin with a good solid underhand. And here's where he kind of really took over.
He's also such a consistent sawyer.
So Armin was already about 5 hits in on the standing block chop by the time that Puy-Barré dropped that cookie from the single buck.
You can see his last driver there went right to the line. You want to actually get over that line with that drive. So that when you're on the other side, you have a little bit less work to do.
So it could be that first side and the excitement of wanting to get over quicker that just caused him more problems than help.
That's right.
Oh yeah, and it was just 3 strokes. Unbelievable, that was so close. Well, there you go, and probably the most exciting heat of that quarterfinals was that last one between Armin Kugler and Pierre Puy-Barré. I mean, Puy-Barré led the whole way through, or Armin Kugler, excuse me, led the whole way through after that underhand chop, but then just got a little bit cut off there on the standing block chop.
That's right.
Okay, so there we see the round of 16, the quarterfinal actions, but again, it's all about who's going down to the semifinals. We'll take a quick look at our list here, and the semifinal is going to be Michał Dubicki going up against Koen Martens. That's going to be a tough one for Koen because we know that Michał Dubicki has been super strong and consistent in this event all day long.
That's right.
Also, we have Emil Hansen, who was, I'm not going to say surprised to have beaten Ferry Swan there, but we know that Ferry's such a strong competitor, and Emil is still kind of getting his chops, you know, cutting his teeth, so to say.
That's right. It'll be interesting to see if he can keep up with Pierre.
Yeah, and Pierre Puy-Barré naturally moving on, so he'll be battling with Emil Hansen in that second semifinal heat. So 2 more heats to go to see who's going to make it to the final and who's going to make it to the small final, otherwise known as the consolation final for positions 3 and 4 in today's competition. So a little bit more action coming your way here. I can't know, I mean, you know, you could throw a coin into a pond and make your wish, but it's interesting to see it's going to go any direction here with these 4 guys. It's just absolutely fantastic competition so far. We saw one of the favorites drop out in Ferry Swan. Emil Hansen has shown us some very, very good skills. So, yeah, let's take a look at our stage and get ready for some more action in the semifinals. All right, so we're going to actually bring our athletes up on stage here and take a look at our semifinal lineup. Michał Dubicki up against Koen Martens in semifinal number 1. Emil Hansen up against Pierre Puy-Barré in semifinal number 2. That semifinal number 2 could be very interesting and very challenging for Puy-Barré.
Yes, he just was on stage. The time that they have to recuperate is so small.
It's limited. So
crazy.
Michał Dubicki and Koen Martens will be the first heat on stage. Definite advantage for Michał Dubicki. He's the bigger man, he's the stronger man. His training regime helps him with his fitness, but we've seen with those big, strong guys, they burn a lot faster as they get closer to the end in that standing block chop. So will that play a role here? And also having battled hard throughout the day to get to this position could give Koen Martens an advantage. We'll see when they come on stage here for semifinal number 1. So our athletes are nowhere to be seen at the moment. Oh wait, I see Koen Martens hiding over there by the athletes' paddocks, and people in the audience waiting and anticipating a good semifinal pair of semifinal battles. That's right, you're on TV. Wave to the camera, everybody. Or drink a beer, whatever floats your boat.
A little too much. A little too much.
All right, our stage is prepared. Our athletes should be ready to go. So I've just been informed that Michał Dubicki has to change his shoes. Okay. I have noticed that some athletes in this format will wear spiked shoes during it. And so I understand the spiked shoes during single buck or during hot saw, but through the whole discipline, isn't that a little bit of a hindrance more than anything?
It can be. I think if you train with it, then you'll be fine. For standing, it's a help as well. It's just by the underhand where it can be a little bit tricky getting up on that block, and you have to switch sides so quick that the spikes don't get in your way.
Well, like you did mention, Dubicki tends to hop, spin, and land on his switches, so maybe that's to his advantage as they come up. Let's take a look at their shoes and see if they're wearing spikes. No, neither of the guys are wearing spikes. They've got the soft blocks on. So final checks and sets. Koen Martens looking pretty relaxed. It's always a good sign. he's like a little kid drawing freehand with his tongue sticking out. He's been here the last little while camping with his family and just sort of enjoying relaxing time before the competition here today. So I guess that's helpful as well to have your family along for the ride, give you a little bit of moral support.
It sure is.
I'm guessing your husband was pleased as a peach when you got second place in the competition on Friday, hey?
He sure was. Although he did kind of say, why not first?
Oh, it's one of those situations, is it?
Yeah, see, Nina and I, we both had the same amount of points. We both had 27 points, but the time is what, she was just so much quicker on the underhand. And then, yeah.
Well, you'll have to go back and show him how the underhand is properly done. Slap him around a little bit. Oh, but it's nice to have a training partner that you can get out there with and you know, really push you a little bit. So it's a good thing. Or is it?
Yes and no.
All right, blocks are fresh.
Okay, gentlemen.
Everything is good to go
What
on
was
stage.
yours?
Here we go. Semi-final number 1. Michał Dubicki against Koen Martens.
Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Dead even start for both of them. Dubicki, Martens on that first cut. Martens a bit faster than Dubicki, but gingerly over to the underhand chop, and we know Dubicki is a devastating hitter with the axe. Koen Martens looking very relaxed as he turns over to the other side. Dubicki's already on the other side of his block as well.
It's going to be close.
Dubicki is through and moving. Oh no, Dubicki's axe came out. He's got a big problem now. This could cause him a win if he gets through fast. Koen Martens gingerly now moving over to his single buck, and I think he might have seen that situation, so he just needs to get through this heat. That axe needs to be in the block, and I don't think Dubicki's realized what's happened yet.
No, I don't think he has.
I believe, now tell me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's grounds for a DQ.
That sure is, and I don't think he can go back and put it in now and to get rid of that DQ. Once it's happened, it's happened.
Koen Martens is breathing heavily now as he heads over to the standing block chop. Dubicki moving over to the other side of his standing block chop, and that is going to be an absolute destructive result for Dubicki if that's actually what happens. And there goes the block for him.
Yeah, I think
Koen Martens, and there comes the flag right away. I don't think Dubicki's realized it yet. Koen Martens is going to go on to the final. What an unbelievable stroke of luck for Koen Martens.
I just hope he realizes it, and because his time is limited.
It's getting close to the end here. And there it goes. He is through at 149.95. Boy, that came really close to DQ for both of these guys. What happens then? What happens then?
That is a good question.
I'll put that one to Bart Janssen and ask him later on.
Okay, unfortunately, we have a disqualification because the axe fell out of the block, which is unsafe. Therefore, the winner is Koen Martens.
You can see right there, Koen is not happy about that.
Nope.
That is not the way you want to win a heat.
No, for sure not. And I mean, Koen Martens is such a fair competitor as well. You know, he knows exactly the kind of things that can happen there. He knows what's up with the situation. It's really just too bad for Michał Dubicki because he had a really good heat there. Koen Martens was clearly out of breath by the time he got to the standing block chop. He came close to the 2-minute cutoff mark, so that would have been an interesting two semifinalists, both of them disqualified.
I don't think that's ever happened.
I don't think that's ever happened. That was a huge stick there by Koen Martens on the underhand chop as well. So Koen Martens will move through to the final. And there you can see, the axe just didn't have enough gas on it to hold on to the block there, and it fell down, and that was the reason why the DQ.
I think if he would have noticed it before he got to the single buck and went back and put it in, it would have been okay.
Yeah, I mean, it would have killed his time, and it might have been a closer race than it was actually, but nevertheless, it wouldn't have been a DQ.
That's right.
I also think that probably, you know, when your body is straining, when you're absolutely at your last limit there, you know, having your wits about you to notice something like that lying on the floor or what maybe did or didn't happen, it's a tough situation.
Exactly, especially if you have the in-ear protection, you don't hear it.
Yeah. All right, so semifinal number 2 with Emil Hansson going up against Pierre Puy-Barré. Now, I said I thought this would be an interesting heat. That previous one was quite a surprising one. If Emil Hansen can get through to the final, it will be one of the most surprising finals that we've had in a long time.
It definitely will
between
be.
Emil Hansen and Koen Martens. There you see. Well, you don't see it actually. Now you do. Hans Ove Hansen, left-hand side of your screen, black baseball cap on, just striding off, doing last-minute checks on the block to make sure that Emil Hansen's block is sturdy and solid. And Dan Janssen putting the last bits of zip ties and everything in place. And you can see Dan Janssen puts the zip ties in place and somebody else comes along and snips them. This is the process of double checking. So
that's right.
So Emil Hansen, pleased to be where he's at. He had a great battle against Ferry Swan earlier. And again, marking everything up. And again, the routine at work.
That is the most important thing. That's one way to block out everything else. It's making sure you're getting your thing, everything marked and put where you want it.
Interestingly enough, the national records for both of these guys, they hold their national records, but the national record is 114 for France and 104 for Sweden. I'll have to double check that. Yeah, personal best, 104.98 and 114.48. So here we see time-wise, the advantage goes to Emil Hansen. But as we've seen today, Pierre Puy-Barré can be a surprising competitor. You can't look at Pierre Puy-Barré and not kind of read a book by its cover in a way. You know, you look at him and say, oh yeah, big guy, not so fit, maybe, you know, but he is absolutely fit and strong and capable when it comes to this here. So can you tell what kind of an axe that is just by looking at it?
No, I missed it. I didn't get close enough. But I gotta say, I'm not an axe expert.
Never ceases to amaze me how buttery smooth the cuts look when those guys are setting it up. It's incredible.
Everything looks easy when they're doing it.
Yeah, when somebody else is doing it, it looks easy. When I'm doing it, it looks like it's an absolute disaster in the making. So, all right, here we go, semi-final.
Okay, gentlemen.
Numéro 2 here in Schierhain, France.
Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go.
Close one. Bang on the mark for both of them. Emil Hansen putting the pressure on the local man, Pierre Puy-Barré. Emil Hansen in the yellow, Pierre Puy-Barré in the blue. Both of them driving some big hits into that block. Emil Hansen moves over to the other side of his block ahead of Pierre Puy-Barré. Puy-Barré has moved over now as well. Emil Hansen with a couple of sticks there as he tries to work through the second side. Pierre Puy-Barré still battling with him to try and get there. It's going to be close, but it's Emil Hansen now moving over to that single buck with the advantage as Pierre Puy-Barré is looking like he's getting a bit tired here on that underhand chop, struggling to get through. Finally, he does. The axe is in place. No problems there as Hansen has now made quick work of that single buck. He's dropped the cookie and he is through onto the standing block chop with a massive advantage over Pierre Puy-Barré. Vim and vigor at work right here with the young man from Sweden in charge of this last heat in the semifinal. Will he be able to hold off the big man Pierre Barret from France, who's got the audience on his side for sure? Emil Hansen working on the second side of his block now, getting in deep. Pierre Barret trying to throw some big drivers in there. Emil Hansen with a huge advantage as he's right close to dropping it off, and it's going to be Emil Hansen. Time of 1:24.44, but that doesn't matter. He is going on to the final. Wow.
You called it. You called
Interesting. Pierre Barret still trying to get through the standing block chop. He is busted about it, but he is not giving up. He is a true warrior, and the French fans are on his sides, making some noise to try and get him through there. One or two more drivers should do it for Pierre Barret, and that block comes off in a time of 1:52.79. No DQ, but not the best time of the day for the big Frenchman.
Guess you should have made a bet.
I should have made the bet. Hey, damn it.
And the winner is Emil Hansen.
So Emil Hansen will go up against Koen Martens in the final. Pierre Barret will battle Michał Dubicki in the small final for positions 3 and 4 in the contest today. So we should see small final up first, but let's take a look back at this slow-mo here.
Those are extremely hard hits right there from Emil.
Yeah, he was really working that axe, and I mean, he wasn't giving 1 ounce of space, 1 inch of space to Pierre Barret.
But he's got to work on getting that saw out of the way.
Yeah, still same situation as before, hey? Yeah, but he's noticing it. He's got it in mind. He stepped over it. Didn't have to worry about the disc this time. The final driver from Emil Hansen drove the stake into Pierre Barret's heart. The big Frenchman just completely out of breath. He battled hard today. He battled hard this weekend.
Sure did.
All right, so that was an exciting semifinal heat number 2. Pierre Barret unfortunately knocked out by Emil Hansen, so we will see Koen Martens and Emil Hansen going against each other in the final, and Michał Dubicki, who got DQ'd in his previous one, up against Pierre Barret in the small final. The small final will be battled out first, and then we'll see the big final in the world's original extreme sport. And on that note, we take a look at the overall standings there. Koen Martens, what a great job. Unfortunately, not the way, like you mentioned, that he wanted to get into that final.
No.
But at the end of the day, he's got to resign himself to that fact that he's there. He might as well enjoy that opportunity. And
That's
really,
right.
Worst case for him is he's going to be second on the podium today. So, you know, that's not a bad way to end a weekend here in Schiedheim, France. Not at all. All right, so like I said, this is the original extreme sport, and it started way back in the day with a $50 bet. Check it out.
Expert woodsman who can cut down a tree more easily than most people can chop one up. When it really comes to tackling large lumps, you can't beat the men of the forestry companies.
An axeman's gathering.
This is Thomas losing the most to get to it.
So there, as you see, the original extreme sport, timber sports, started back in the day with a $50 bet, and here we are with a massive stage presence here, awesome experts at our sides to be able to bring you some of the most exciting timber sports in the world. And of course, with that exciting timber sports, we have a fantastic atmosphere, and every single event never ceases to amaze me with the atmosphere that we bring.
It comes down to Mitch Argent and Shane Jordan battling hard on the standing block. Who is it going to be? Is it going to be Australia or New Zealand? Oh my God, how close is this? And it's Australia!
The atmosphere last night in the team's relay was unreal.
That is their title of Team World Champion 2 years in a row.
Oh, definitely. It'd be the noisiest crowd I've competed against.
Shane Jordan's already over there.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of getting goosebumps thinking about it right now.
The crowds here, they were just erupting.
You feel the energy of the crowd.
My goodness, what a great comeback from Belgium with a time of 1.
The crowd was absolutely electric.
And it was so much noise and support.
Ja, doch, das pusht schon rum und mein Fanclub ist auch da.
Very passionate about their country and, yeah, the competitors.
Yeah, it feels super.
Oh my goodness, look at this.
It's pretty awesome to compete in front of a crowd like this.
But he's not giving up. He's looking good.
Like such an adrenaline rush. It's an amazing feeling.
Fans, they make a lot of noise, and that's good for our spirit. Is it going to be the checker building? And the crowd goes bananas. It's absolutely extreme here. Man hört's.
Well, the atmosphere doesn't get much more electric than at a trophy event, but we also have plenty of events more to come throughout the season. And at the very end of the season, we will, of course, be in Gothenburg, Sweden for the Individual World Championship and the Team Trophy. The Team Trophy will be on the 28th of October, and on the 29th of October, we'll have the Individual World Championship going on there. So lots of action still to come up until October. And you can check out all of the different live streams by going on to STIHL's website and just having a quick look there to see what's available and when it's coming up. Now, we have plenty of action still to come here in the European Trophy format 2022 here from Schierhain. I am with Jolanda Gnedinger, and we are just about ready to go with our 2 final heats, the small final and the big final. But before that, we're going to take a quick look at where the wood from this event comes from.
We at STIHL Timbersports pride ourselves that all wood is sustainably grown, harvested and recycled to minimise the overall amount of wood processed. Firstly, this popular wood is grown on certified plantations. Secondly, the white pine for our sawing disciplines is only sourced from certified forest management. After all our STIHL competitions, all the spent wood is collected and recycled right down to the wood chips and sawdust, which, for example, is converted into renewable energy in the form of wood pellets for biomass. We quest to find certified partners. This ensures that all newly planted trees are nurtured and managed, promoting maximum efficiency and sustainability for the future conservation of our valuable forests.
Therefore, as you can see, with good harvesting practices and good management with silviculture, the ground is quickly replaced by new trees, or could even be used for arable for farmers and future rotations.
All right, Yolanda, here we go with our final. Michał Dubicki in the small final up against Pierre Puy-Barré, a couple of guys that we never really expect to see there, but here we are.
That's right. It's what it is. You can't change it now.
It is what it is. So that battle will be between those two guys for the position number 3 on the podium. And then we will see Karen Martens battling against Emil Hansen in the big one for the top spot on the podium. So in the meantime, we're going to focus on that small final with Michał Dubicki and Pierre Puy-Barré. And once again, they're on stage checking all of their stand positions, checking all of their block markings, checking all of their axe spots, and following their usual routines. Should be an interesting battle between these two. And Michał Dubicki is looking a little bit tired after that last battle with Emil Hansen. Or no, excuse me, with Karen Martens. He just, yeah, a little bit of a mental breakdown there with the axe. Perhaps he didn't even realize it, like we talked about. You know, you're so tired, you're so spent, and you probably didn't pay attention, and you didn't hear anything with the earbuds in as well.
That's right.
And then, of course, Pierre Puy-Barré, even with the support of the crowd behind him, he just wasn't quite at 100% on the underhand chop, and then, of course, on the standing block, he just didn't have it left in him by the end of the heat.
No, so I don't think we'll see any amazing times here. It's getting to the end of the day. They've had a few great rounds, but...
Yeah. Let's also not forget that Pierre Puy-Barré battled through the national championship the other day as well to take the win. So
that's right.
He's had a full day Saturday and now a full day Sunday of action. Michał Dubicki has had the advantage of not having to actually compete, but then again, he's battled through the whole day of training as well as the time trials, qualifier, and then into all of the different rounds to get through to this small final. So it's just a lot of action for these guys as they get set up on stage here for the final, or small final in this case.
Small final, right. But I can guarantee you he's going to make sure that X is in the block.
Yeah, this time no mistakes will be made. At least not with the axes in the blocks. Okay, Michał Dubicki just waiting to put his single buck in place. He's putting his ear protection in, that's what I'm seeing. And there we see Pierre Puy-Barré, he is ready to go. And with a practice hand, Dubicki has that single buck locked and loaded with a quick check from Bart Janssen, and he is ready to go. Andy Hall, Bart Janssen at corners of each side of the stage to oversee this battle between two titans of the sport.
Okay, gentlemen, one of your scores. Athletes, ready!
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
All right, good solid start for both of the guys. Pierre Puy-Barré with a slightly faster saw and stock saw, and he moves on to the underhand chop. And Dubicki leisurely strolling over to his block, throws away the hat, and then starts to hammer with super speed on the underhand chop. Unbelievable. I think he's trying to prove something here as he goes for many quick hits, hops around to the other side, and this is now a game of catch-up for Dubicki as Pierre Puy-Barré has moved on to the other side well ahead of Dubicki, but he is making the longer, heavier strokes, and it's Dubicki now, look at, he is just walking, sauntering.
Unreal.
Unbelievable. The minute he gets to his discipline, though, he goes at it with full ferocity. Pierre Puy-Barré, he's got everything into it, and now again Dubicki almost angrily sauntering over to the standing block chop. He was behind, but now he's got a bit of a lead going into the standing block chop. Pierre Puy-Barré, he's got a couple of chips off of there. Dubicki moves to the other side of the block. He is not happy with that block, and he does not like that block, and he is taking all of his anger out on that block, and we may see a really good time today. In fact, one of the best times for Michał Dubicki all weekend long, a 1:16.73. Where was that saunter and bravado in the earlier heats there? Unbelievable. And meanwhile, Pierre Puy-Barré absolutely at his limit, almost bouncing the axe off of the block, and he does it in 1:43.55. A couple of warriors at battle. That was unbelievable, but what a display by Dubicki. I don't know what to think about that.
That might be the new method, sauntering across.
Sauntering and then going bananas on the blocks.
Unreal.
Wow.
There's still some power in there. Quite a bit.
His fastest time in time trial was 1:21.73. Unbelievable. So, Pierre Puy-Barré, not wasting any time, moves over. Look at the stroll. Throws the glasses down. What am I doing here? And then, got rid of the hat. Don't need that. And bang, 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 bang. He just destroyed that block. Unbelievable.
After so many heats, to still have that much power.
Yeah. And I mean, the quickness of the axe as well. It's amazing. And again, a little stroll over to the single buck. And then hating on that block. I'm not speechless. I'm almost never speechless. That's just something that doesn't happen in my life. But that was one of the most interesting displays of I am not happy about being in the small final, so I'm going to prove how good I really am.
Yeah. So when he put his single buck down, he did catch the chainsaw with the teeth, so he'll definitely be checking that afterwards in back.
Aha. Right, you can see right there. And I think it's Dubicki being more angry with himself for making the mistake in that semifinal where the axe came out.
That's right.
And got him DQ'd and put him into this position. So I don't think it has anything to do with him showing off or trying to one-up Pierre Puy-Barré, who is also a fantastic competitor. I think it had everything to do with him proving to himself, hey, you idiot, what are you doing here instead of where you should be as the potential European champion?
That's right.
But unbelievable display of power and precision and truly the dominance that he could have over this format in the trophy format. It's just amazing. So there is our final lineup. Koen Martens, 38 years old, the senior of the two, the granddaddy caddy, going up against Emil Hansen, the young gun, 21 years old. He didn't even need to step out of the rookie category, although I think he did because he won an event. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
Yeah. But 21 years old, still developing his style, still developing his experience in the final here against one of the original timber sports athletes in Europe, Koen Martens from Belgium. Looking for the tongue, and there it is.
It helps.
I think he's just a kid at heart, to be honest with you. Which makes life more fun. Emil Hansen with the final markings and lineups there. And the pressure is mounting as our final is about ready to go. really taking their time here.
Wouldn't you?
I think I'd probably want to have it over with sooner than later, given the day that it's been for all of these guys, but that's just me.
True, true. But you can take another breath, calm those nerves.
Agreed.
Get in that mindset.
Oh, you're talking about them, not me. Yeah. Yeah.
Allez, c'est parti pour la finale de l'Européen Trophy 2022.
So, Koen is ready to go. Emil Hansen, last bits of positioning here for him. Similar in their saw placement.
Okay, gentlemen, warm up your saws.
All right, folks, here we go. It's the final for the European Trophy 2022 from Schierhain in France. Let's get it on. Good start by both of them, but it is Koen Martens just ahead of Emil Hansen over onto the Underhand Chop. There should be some motivation by Koen to maybe get himself a trophy here. He's looking good on the first side, a little bit of a stick, but he moves over to the other side. Emil Hansen 2 strokes behind Koen Martens as they move over to the other side of the block. Koen looking pretty good here. Emil Hansen so strong though as a young man. He's got the breath. Who's going to get through that underhand first? It's going to be Koen Martens, but Emil Hansen not that far behind. And once again, Emil Hansen has to do the dance over that stock saw to get that single buck started. Koen Martens had a slightly faster start on the single buck, but Emil Hansen, wow! How quick is he through that single buck? Both of them very fast, in fact. And now they start on the standing block chop. Hey, this couldn't have come more evenly as predicted if you told me in advance, looking into the future, as Koen Martens moves over to the other side of his block, 1.5 strokes ahead of Emil Hansen. It may be close down to the wire here. Emil Hansen throwing a lot of power into his drivers. Koen Martens, a little bit of a stick there. Emil Hansen's block is looking a little bit loose. Koen Martens, not quite there. And it's going to be Emil Hansen with a time of 1:22.08. Koen Martens, just a couple more drivers to get through that block. And there he goes in 1:30.85. Wow! It all came down to the standing block chop. Whew.
And the winner is Emil Hansen.
Well, there you have it. Emil Hansen is your new 2022 European Trophy champion. I would say not unexpected, but a little bit surprising, given the level of competition and what we just saw in the small final from Michał Dubicki.
It is just unreal.
Let's take a look back and pull this apart a little bit. Koen Martens was a couple of strides ahead of Emil onto the underhand chop. Yeah. And there you see another version or another view as Koen Martens just a stroke ahead of Emil heading towards that single buck. Now I actually thought Emil was a bit faster on the single buck than Koen Martens was, but they dropped the cookie more or less precisely at the same time.
Koen was even a little bit faster.
Let's see if we can get that look right here.
There you go.
Oh yeah, you're right. It peeled off a little bit, so that could have been a risky one. It's right here on the standing block chop where it just wasn't Koen's day.
No, he wanted too much. Should have taken another couple hits on that side before he changed over. You see how much wood he has got left on the other side.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's a ton there. And And there's the block dropping for Emil Hansen. Look at that young man just hammering away at it. What a great job. Koen Martens, happy to be in second place today. And big congratulations to those two. They're going to go backstage. They're going to breathe a little bit before the awards ceremony. But Emil Hansen is your gold medalist here today. Koen Martens with the silver, and Michał Dubicki with a display in the small final will take the bronze home today. All right, so that was that. Yolanda, your thoughts on this event so far today, this competition?
Oh, it's crazy. Definitely unexpected. We're always kind of looking at who's the favorite, and today it was the youngster who made it all the way.
At the beginning of the day, we were talking about Ferry Swan, Michał Dubicki, two of the big guns in this format. Both of them, Ferry Swan out earlier, and Michał Dubicki with a mistake ended up in the small final, so he will take third place on the podium today. But what a display by him in that small final, almost snubbing the timber sports gods with the way he sauntered back and forth to the different disciplines. Unbelievable.
Unreal.
Yeah, fantastic. We're going to go up onto stage shortly for the awards ceremony, where we'll bring all of our athletes back up on stage from the round of 16, and then we'll present the awards. And then afterwards, hopefully, we'll have Emil Hansen here in studio for a quick interview, and then we'll be done and dusted for the day. But in the meantime, we'll get back up on stage for the awards ceremony. Maybe. One of these days. Ah, there we go. Stage is set.
Champagne is ready.
Champagne looks ready. Did they pre-shake it is the question. Oh, and there are the trophies designed by Samuel Grégoire from the west coast of France. And he actually does those with a chainsaw.
Yeah.
He sprays the paint on with a chainsaw. Very, very cool. Maybe we can have actually a quick look at how he does that with the chainsaw painting. Steel chainsaws. So our stage is set for the awards ceremony. We will bring on the athletes from position 16 right up till position 1. Seems like our athletes are sort of ready in the background. I can see them as I look back around the stage. They're bringing everybody up from the order. Alessandro Ciapponi from 15th place. Also joining him is Günther Dahlinger from Austria. Both of those guys with a DQ in the round of 16, so they got even time. Martin Kalina coming up on stage now from the Czech Republic. Next to him will be Germany's Marcel Steinkemper. This was his first competition along with Gunther Dahlinger, so a couple of new guys to the trophy format. And there we go with another rookie, Matthias Klima, no longer a rookie, joining the pro ranks. Redmer Knoll from the Netherlands. And there is Danny Martin from Germany. The next hope for German timber sports, Guillaume Moore, second place in the French Nationals yesterday. They go to the other side of the podiums, and then he'll be joined by your countrymate, Switzerland's Oliver Reinhardt. And of course, we're going to bring up Austria's Armin Kugler, the perennial winner of the Austrian National Championships. 8 times he is the winner there. From Sweden in 5th place today, Ferry Swan. Oh, excuse me, 6th place, Jacek Groenwald first, and then Ferry Swan will come up on stage from Sweden. And just missing out by the hair on his chin, 4th place, the local hero, Pierre Puy-Barret from France.
And hear that crowd standing behind him.
They love it. Their fan base in timber sports is absolutely passionate and fantastic. So 3rd place on the podium today will take one of those trophies home. He didn't want to be 3rd, but he'll take it. From Poland, Michał Dubicki. Yolanda, you said it earlier, it's not the way that he wanted to get to the final, but Koen Martens did manage to make the final by default in DQ, and that means he will take 2nd place today. And there you see Michał Dubicki getting one of those very, very individual and very cool trophies from Samuel Gregoire. Now in 2nd place from Belgium, Koen Martens. There he is. Always a gentleman, Koen.
He sure is.
If he could, he'd probably shake hands with the entire audience.
He would, yes.
For hours. So, Koen Martens, 2nd place here today. And to say that he didn't deserve to be there would be a little bit unfair, because he really put the screws to Emil Hansen in that final battle. So there was no backing down.
No.
There was no give from Koen Martens at all. So he definitely deserves that trophy. There's no 2 ways about it. But there you go, one of the youngest trophy winners in the history of the sport, Emil Hansen from Sweden. Just 21 years old, and he takes the European trophy here today in Schierhain, France for 2022. He'll put his name in the history books as one of the winners of this very exciting format. Even Vanni gets a handshake, and why not? And there you are, your podium. Michał Dubicki in 3rd, Koen Martens in 2nd, and Emil Hansen in the top spot. Your favorite part, the champagne shower.
It sure is, but I must say I'm glad we're over here or not that close.
Tell me about it. Well, I mean, after all is said and done, we had a really fantastic competition here today with Emil Hansson winning on top. There's still lots to come, so we've just seen now the European trophy here in Schierhain. There is also the rookie and the women's competition and the men's pro competition from the States on the 22nd and 23rd of July. Canadian Pro Championships coming from Charlottetown on the 30th and 31st of July. Then the European Nations Cup from Switzerland in Vaillac on the 11th of September. And as we've been mentioning, on the 28th and 29th of October, the Team World Championship. Also a format like we've had here today, the trophy format, as well as the individual World Championship. And that is going to be a fantastic event. Make sure you check that out. All right, we're joined by our new European trophy champion, Emil Hansson. Emil, the worst question in the world, but how are you feeling right now after a long day of battling?
Yeah, I'm really happy. I am.
Yeah? Cool. It's I mean, really, I don't want to say it's unexpected that you are the champion today, but you actually had a fantastic run. How was it going up against guys like Dubicki and Puy-Barret and all of these legends in the sport for you?
Yeah, it's many tough guys, and it's hard to go against Ferry. That's a very hard race.
That was a tough one. Two countrymen in the same battle, but you've beaten your countrymen one time. You are the new European champion, as also one of the youngest European champions. Congratulations, and best of luck in the future for you.
Yeah, thank you, thank you.
All right, so there you go, our new trophy champion for 2022, Emil Hansson. And hey, I gotta say, great battles, great competition today. Great to have Jolanda Gnedinger with me again. And on behalf of us both, I say thank you very much, and take a look at those highlights and enjoy the rest of the sunshine out there. See ya.